Hello there, fellow Dazzlers and Newplayers. Like, what is going on, everybody? Razzle Joestar here, bringing you a simple tutorial video on downloading and setting up the Model 2 emulator. And as always, don't forget to deposit a like on the video and check out some of the awesome links in the description. Now, let's go away and get this sorted out. So why would you be using a Model 2 emulator anyways? Well, MAME unfortunately can't handle Model 2 games at the moment, or at least not a good amount of them. So this is going to be one of those special cases where you'll be needing another program if you want to be emulating Model 2 games on your PC. As a side note, as far as I know, this emulator currently is only compatible with Windows operating systems. Sorry, Linux and Mac people, you might have to use an emulator to run your emulator. So what is Model 2? Well, that refers to the arcade hardware that Sega used for these games. There's also Model 1, which MAME is actually able to handle for the most part, and there's also Model 3, which needs its own emulator. I believe that one is Super Model. So where do you go to get the emulator? Simple. What we're going to do is we're going to head on down to Nebula's homepage here, and then we're just going to go downloads, and then we're just going to go ahead and download the Model 2 emulator. As you can see, it hasn't really been updated quite a while. Should take no time at all to download. It's a fairly small little guy, so let's go ahead and get that zip file out of our download folder and throw it somewhere where we can work with it. Alright, so here we go. We got the model emulator here. You can also see some random things here and there. These weird names pertain to. Let's go ahead and just extract this file here. Once it's extracted, let's go ahead and open this up here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to actually add a folder here named ROMs. I don't believe the emulator actually adds a ROMs folder when you first load it up. You're going to want to put all of your ROMs into that folder though. And it is Sheen Clougy's birthday today. Happy birthday, Sean! It's one of the manager's Facebook friends. Notifications on Windows, right? So anyways, let's go ahead and load up the one that pertains to your emulator. You're going to want to do, if it's multi-core, you do emulator multi-CPU. If not, you just do emulator exe. Personally, I've used both and haven't really seen much of a difference. You also have your basic readme.txt. Emulator.ini is a config file that has a lot of really cool stuff. If you're familiar with INI files and you know how to navigate those, you can get some extra things in here like bilinear, trilinear filtering, anti-aliasing, however you pronounce that, anti-aliasing, X input. You want to actually set X input to 1. I'll let you use X input controllers, and kind of like pretty cool things like hold gears. If you're driving with a wheel, you can, or if you're playing a game like Daytona, set 1 to return to neutral in driving games when the shift gear key is released. So lots of cool little things here that you can check out with that. So let's go ahead and just boot up the emulator itself. Doesn't take that long to open up. It's not like MAME where you gotta wait an eternity for it to come up. Let's make this window a little bigger, shall we? There we go. Look at that, nice Model 2 emulator. So I got the main emulator pulled up here. Now, as a side note, you are gonna need to make sure you have DirectX installed. The manager didn't do that and kept running into errors and issues. The other reason too, I mentioned setting X input to 1. You want to do that. The manager also was trying to set up Daytona USA on a new install of Windows and forgot to do that, and we use an Xbox 360 wheel to play wheel games on the Model 2 emulator, and the less said about that the better. It was pretty frustrating, and then it was even more frustrating when we realized the solution was something incredibly stupid and simple. So you might be wondering, what do I do with my ROMs? Well, the good news is installing your ROMs is like with every other emulator. Just put your ROMs right into the ROMs folder. Do not unzip your ROMs. Stop unzipping your ROMs. And I'm saying that because I get people in the comments all the time, I unzip my ROMs, or do I unzip the contents of the ROMs? Don't. Just put them in the ROMs folder. You're good to go. That's it. Okay? Great. So, you've got some things you can play around with in the emulator, such as loading your ROM. And here's a nice little list of the games here. Most of these, I believe, work. I don't know if there's any compatibility issues. I'll have to try more games. I've only played House of the Dead. Let's sort this by game name. I've only played House of the Dead, Daytona USA. I don't think I've done Dynamite Cobb. There's House of the Dead right there. And then I've done Sega Rally Championship and Virtual Cop 1 and 2, I believe. So you got your video. You can set your full screen resolution. You can check the auto switch to full screen or switch to full screen. If the emulator does go into full screen or you want to quickly do it, you can always hold down the Alt key and push Enter. That quickly gets you in the full screen. You obviously want to leave the sound enabled. And then you configure controls even though it's able to select. You can only configure controls when you load a game. An important thing about your control configuration is it's configured per game. So it's not like MAME where you can set a universal thing for every machine. For each game, you're going to have to set your controls. Now, I believe it uses like the defaults, like 5 is to put it in quarters, 1 is to start the game, F2 is the operator menu, and F3 is the test menu, and I think F1 or 0 or 9 is the service key. So those are going to be consistent across all games. And you know, 2 to player 2 start, 6 for player 2 quarters, well, that's consistent across all games. And there are default controls that use the arrow keys and whatnot, but you know, if you like to set up your own personal controls, it's going to be different for each and every game that you got on here. And that's basically going to be it to get you started with the Model 2 emulator. It's really not a super complex beast. It is actually one of the more simpler emulators out there. I mean, yeah, you can crack open that emulator, the INI file, and really mess around with it and do some cool things. There are also features that are per game, like cheats and options. For example, Daytona USA has a really cool unlimited time cheat, which you saw us use in our Daytona USA Let's Play. I'll pop a little thing up there in the corner for you for that. But yeah, it's not really complex. You don't gotta mess with chids, you gotta mess with BIOS, and there's more stuff you can do with it. For example, if you like Daytona USA, I did mention we do use an Xbox 360 wheel, so if you've got a wheel that works on PC, most likely it'll work with the Model 2 emulator. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, no BIOS, no chids, no nothing, no versions or ROM sets, no, none of that. So, if you got any use out of this tutorial, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment down below, especially if you're running into any unexpected issues. We'll see if we can try to help you out with that, or maybe somebody else in the comments will be able to help you out with that. And we also appreciate it if you share the video too. All of that really helps out the video tremendously in terms of the infamous algorithm. If you want to help support the channel money-wise, we do have a Patreon that we're still trying to figure out what to reward you guys with, at paypal.me for donations, and of course TubeBuddy. In fact, our videos were most likely brought to you by TubeBuddy, which is a great YouTube extension with lots of awesome tools. Personally, I like to use the Keyword Explorer, which helps me find good tags on videos so people can find them. Tutorials like these are no fun if people can't find them, and I gotta rely on the algorithm to magically recommend it to you guys. TubeBuddy is also an affiliate, so any downloads or purchases will compensate us, but there's no additional cost to you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Razzle Joestar, and I'll see you guys all on the next model. Or maybe the previous one. Who knows?